accidente, etc.
Thrill me.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and today I'm joined by not only by my weekly co-host, Steven, but by also a very special guest, his even cooler daughter, Penelope. How's it going? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
What's up? Yep. I was allowed to have a child.
Like, who let this happen? That's a horror movie. That's what we know. I'm just kidding. But no, before we dive into that, of course, with that, our topic this week is going to be kind of like the horror genre through the eyes of the youth, the teenagers of today, because, we grew up in a different time before streaming and all that. So it's nice to see how different generations grow up with the stuff. But before we do that, of course, we usually cover what we've been into music related stuff or just anything horror. And because this is your first time, podcasting, Penelope, I'll let Steven kind of show you the ropes of how we do this. But like me and Steven kind of mentioned before even diving into recording, this is kind of a bad one to do that on because we just recorded like not even 6 days ago. So we haven't had much time to watch or even listen to anything. So
Yeah, it's been pretty light for me, buddy. We have our Toxic Coffin drop coming
oh yeah.
in a little less than 2 weeks. So this past weekend I was doing a lot of work just prepping for all of that. So I didn't really get to watch a whole lot. But I'm sure Penelope's been watching a bunch of fun stuff. Why don't you tell everybody what you've been checking out as far as like movies or TV?
So the new Wednesday season came out August 6th. So I've been watching that. I watched like the new season and then I kind of like restarted the thing and I watched the first season and then the second season. And then I've been watching Buffy with my parents. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we like I never watched Buffy in high school or anything. Or in middle school is when that would have come out for me. Uh and yeah, I was like, oh, that's like cheesy, like chick vampire stuff. Like I saw the movie and that was it, and then I never watched the show. And so, with all the 90s stuff being popular, I was like, you know what, we should go back and watch all the Buffys. They're all on like Hulu. And so we've been watching it. I think we're on the third season now. Is that right? Are we on the third season? Yeah.
Yeah, third season.
Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
Penelope cringes at all of the Buffy and Angel
Oh.
makeout scene. She's like, can they please stop this? It's awesome. But yeah, there's some good episodes. I wasn't expecting it to be like at the level of like monsters and like kind of like supernatural how that show was, like every week it's some kind of different monster that she's facing. I just always thought it was like, I don't know, just like a teen vampire drama show, so I
Yeah.
mean, it is that, but it's more. It's cool. I love it. So
Now, some of the villains in that show are like top tier for sure. I don't know if
yeah.
have you guys seen The Master yet? Or I think that's
Oh
what it's
yeah.
called.
I mean, it is the Master. It's the Master, or is it the? I'm a terrible fan already. We've been watching it, and I think it's the Master, right?
The vampires?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
like very
think.
Nosferatu looking type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you have Spike, is like he's come and gone already. And so
And
yeah, so there's been a lot of like different foes. Uh I just love hearing them talk about the Hellmouth and everything. I don't know, it's so corny, but so good. And watching the show, Penelope like is always looking at Willow's character and being like, her outfit's really cool. And I'm like, she does dress super cool for that show. It's
Yeah.
like every hip, 90s throwback outfit that there is today. But
Hell yeah. No, I was about to say I've always wanted to name a hardcore band Hellmouth, just like if I ever start doing another band,
oh
I'm like
yeah.
doing it. But no, do you guys have like any spoilers for that show already? Or you kind of like have you been able to kind of go into it a little bit blind? Like,
I had no spoilers other than I know Buffy's the Slayer.
yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of like, so nobody like hyper major has been like killed off other than the one teacher.
oh
Uh,
yeah, the one that Giles falls in love with.
yeah. That the tech lab teacher, the computer science teacher.
Yeah.
Um, and that was like, oh dang, I didn't expect that to happen. Um, but yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be some future upsets, so we haven't gotten
Mhm.
there. I mean, it's classic 90s teen drama. Like there's bound to be like this, there's been some really, really dramatic episodes that,
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I forget all about like mid-season finales and stuff like that. And I'm like, we're 6 episodes in. Why is it so insane right now? I'm like, oh, they're
Mhm.
about to go on the like classic hiatus. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, shows aren't like that anymore. So she's getting a traditional TV show upbringing by watching this. So it's been fun. Yeah, what else? Anything else you've been watching?
Um, Not really. I think that's really it. I mean, I have seen the new Freakier Friday movie and
Yeah.
Superman movie,
Oh
which is
yeah.
pretty good.
Yep, she went and watched Superman with me. We were both being super dorks about the dog. Like every scene, just like, oh, oh. I can hear her squealing behind me with her friend. And there's like one scene where like the dog just mildly gets hurt and gets, whimpers. And I can hear Penelope be like,
Yeah.
so that is one thing. We'll probably talk about that, but she does not like it when there's danger to animals. So
No, I love the scene where he's like, it's not even a good dog, but I have to go save it. Like it's like,
yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah.
And then yeah, as far as music stuff goes, yeah, nothing really really new. I'll shout out my friend's band, Core Deluxe. They're a local band here.
Heck yeah.
I just they one of their band members, she sent me their new album before comes out, and I was just listening to that today, and it's really good. I'm stoked for it. They're like a indie, kind of post rock type band here. They're rad. So that's as far as like new stuff that I've listened to. It's like new, not even out to the public. But yeah, anything you've been jamming out to,
Mhm.
Penelope?
I mean, I've listened. My dad introduced me to the Smiths
Hell yeah.
like before school ended, so like May probably, and I've been listening to them. And then there's some other songs that I don't really know the artists to,
Mhm.
but yeah, I've been listening to that type of music really.
Some post punk and some 80s stuff. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's the thing nowadays is like when you start listening to one of those bands, like Spotify or even like Apple or whatever, will
Hmm.
just like randomly like switch you off of them and play somebody related to them. So it's so easy to get
Mhm.
hooked on bands these days and be like, I don't
Hmm.
even know who this is. I just love the song. Like
Mhm.
I've been
I do the
hearing
same
you
thing.
listen to a lot of Black Sabbath lately too.
Mhm.
R.I.P.
Oh yeah.
Ozzy. Yeah. Yeah. She
I have my Black Sabbath shirt on right now.
yeah. That's right.
Oh yeah.
Um but yeah, I think that probably covers it. What about you, man? Anything? I know you said it's light week for you, but anything else you've been, checking out or you know, caught up on?
By the time this drops, the episode itself will be like a couple weeks old, but I watched the movie Marshmallow to have the director
Mm.
Daniel Del Purgatorio on. He's got a strong last name, that's for sure. So I like don't want to butcher it,
Sure.
but he's an awesome guy. He's like super into like we talked about Gore and like Kiss and just like a bunch of cool like music and stuff when he was on the show and stuff. But
Nice.
it's one of those things that I watched the movie to have him on, but I actually just really enjoyed the movie. It's like this like uh it's a camp horror film that takes place like and it deals with kids and stuff like that. It's one of those
Mhm.
that it's better to go in as cold as possible, so it's very hard to like talk about it without spoiling it. But just know it's kind of like a camp horror film that just takes a turn that's not what you would expect. Um,
Mhm.
but it's called Marshmallow. Right now, it's only available on VOD, but they said that there's gonna be some streaming coming up soon, as well as like some streaming for free type thing, like a Shutter deal or
Sure.
something. They weren't specific, so don't quote me on the Shutter thing, but it will be somewhere. But they also got a Blu-ray deal coming up and stuff. So I highly recommend Marshmallow if you haven't seen it. And then about a week or two after this drops, probably about a week after. Probably 2 weeks after this drops because I don't know if my monthly roundtable episode is going to come together this month
Mhm.
just because of scheduling conflicts and stuff. So this will probably be like this will probably drop about a week out. So it, about 2 weeks after this drops, I'll be at Tidewater Horror Convention for the weekend of September 12th, 13th, and 14th, hosting panels, giving out stickers. I'll be doing uh, I'm curating the movie room the whole weekend. So we're showing some movies that have to deal with the guests as well as some fun stuff, just like the Monster Squad, Night of the Demons, Night of the Creeps, just stuff like that.
Nice.
So super excited for Tidewater Horror Convention. Trivia will already be passed by the time this comes
Hmm.
out. So, but music wise, really nothing new. I listened to the new Chance the Rapper album. It was like half and half for me. I liked half the songs, and half the songs I would be better off never really hearing again in my life. So,
Sure.
it was like it was good, but just not what I was hoping. Like I was hoping for a return to form, like with some of his old
Hmm.
stuff, and it was like that's kind of what I got with half of it, and then the other half, felt like his newer stuff. So. Uh,
Sure.
that's pretty much it for me, though. Movies and music, Marshmello and Chance the Rapper. So it's been kind of a light week. We've been catching up on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and South Park, so I haven't been watching too
Nice.
much. But
Heck yeah.
and now you guys got me wanting to watch Buffy. Shit, I love
Dude,
Buffy.
it's
It's
fun.
really good.
I'm surprised how much I like it, you know. So, yeah, it's a going to watch with the family too. You know, it
Yeah.
just feels super nostalgic. So,
Yeah.
um,
And it's especially fun to watch it because when I was like 7 or something, me and my dad, I was Buffy and my dad was a vampire.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
So it's really fun to watch
Yeah, she went more specifically as the
the
Buffy from the
movie.
movie, but she still
Oh
hasn't
yeah.
even seen the movie, which is funny. So that's on the list that we need to watch for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, why don't I mean, I know we introduced you, but why don't you tell everybody, a little bit more about yourself before we kick off asking you some questions?
So my name's Penelope Brewer, and I mean, I like to play soccer and I love to surf and I love to draw too. It's really fun to like doodle in class sometimes and stuff like that. And we're actually having soccer tryouts this week right now, but it got canceled because of the hurricane or something, whatever. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm hoping to make it to team. But yeah, I think I've been into Halloween since I was like barely even 1 or 2. Yeah, I think it's my favorite holiday for like a long time. So,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when she was 2, we lived in this apartment and her bedroom was like on the front side of our building, and we had like it was a little townhouse, and we had this little tiny garden bed that I put like a skeleton in it, and every night before bed around Halloween she would have to wave at the skeleton. She would say good night, Mr. Spooky. It was super cute. But yeah, she's always been into Halloween. I mean, we probably forced her into it, but so just being my kid. But yeah, what grade are you going into?
I'm going into 7th grade.
Yeah.
So,
So super teenager. Yep. Teenager life. That's my world.
Perfect
So,
age to start sneaking all the scariest horror films you can. That's for sure.
uh-huh. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, we could probably get into the meat of all of this. So
Well,
yeah, we
I do want
got,
to. You're
oh yeah.
also, aren't you also starting to try to do some theater stuff as well, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken?
yeah.
yeah, I had theater camp 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was when it was, yeah, because it was the week that I had to go to Richmond
Yeah.
for Toxicoffin. But
And it
yeah.
was like the first week of August too. So,
Yep.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that was really fun. I always love going to theater there. They have a really good camp and I feel like they have like multiple things so you could like sign up for like special effects makeup or props or like musicals and stuff like that. But I always love going there. It's like my favorite camp.
Hell yeah. That's so rad that they do like special effects and stuff these days. Like back in
Oh
the day,
yeah.
it was like, just come up and we'll do choir. It's like
Uh,
the fact that they actually like show you like all the like different like sides of everything is so cool. Hell yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and she's gotten super into like makeup and stuff like she even more so than just like being a teenage girl. Like, of course she likes to do makeup. They all do, but like she's always like, oh, like showing me different like whether it's like drag makeup, like, oh, look how cool this is, or whatnot, or Halloween makeup. I got her this makeup kit from Creatures Cosmetics,
Oh yeah.
which is some friends we've met through doing shows, and she's pretty much used that like every Halloween to
Yeah.
do cool. Usually for a while it was like creepy clown makeup every year, but she's pretty good at it. She talks about, don't you want to go to cosmetology school?
Yeah, that's my dream right now, but
Oh yeah.
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 Hell yeah.
So.
That'd be awesome. You definitely got to start pranking your dad and the mom, like when they come home, just be like laid out with like
Oh,
some wound on the head. And be like,
I I definitely have some stories. I feel like every time during Christmas, I've woken up my parents and I'd be fully green. I'd have a Santa hat on and I'd come down as the Grinch. So,
hell yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. No, well, hell yeah. Hopefully you get into whatever school you want to get into. That'd be awesome for sure. And then that's something that you can use, like, for you can still use in like movies and stuff like that, which we'll bring up a little bit later,
Mhm.
like with some of those questions. And but like you can, that's the thing is like people always think about the makeup effects part, but there's just so many people that just do makeup on movies. You know what I mean? Like you could just
Oh
Yeah.
do.
yeah.
Like just making people for like even in like think about the movie like Maxine, like how many people were done up in that, like the 80s and this and that. So, but no,
Oh
hell
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
just think about Stranger Things. There's so
Mhm.
much like 80s makeup. Like, yeah,
yeah. No,
be
yeah.
cool.
No,
So
yeah.
sweet. Well, yeah, I'm happy to kick off the first round of questions if you guys are ready for that.
Yep.
So this being, a horror podcast, we're going to be talking a lot about scary movies and stuff. So I figured start off with the basics and you know, can you remember the first horror movie that you ever saw? And it can be, I'll let you decide how you want to answer that. It could be whatever you saw as like the youngest or what you consider maybe like your first like real horror movie.
Well, the thing I saw the youngest was definitely an episode of Stranger Things, but that's not technically a movie. So I feel like my first like R-rated movie that was like not really that was considered R-rated like back in the 80s, but is now not really considered R-rated is probably Lost Boys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one that's
Yeah.
definitely like I could see nowadays it being like a solid PG-13, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
definitely a good
How old
choice.
do you think you were when you saw Lost Boys?
Probably like 9 or 8. I don't know.
Heck
Yeah, I think that's about right. And was that was that something that I just showed you, or were you like, hey, I'm curious about this
You
movie?
told me about it because
Yeah,
I wanted to see a R-rated movie,
that
and you were like, I feel like you could see this one, and then you showed me to it, and I really liked it.
yeah,
heck
heck
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, tell Penelope what your first horror film was. How old were you too? Because I'm sure she probably doesn't know. I know she knows
I
mine.
know his, yeah.
I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I think my first one was probably the like It miniseries, the one with
Mm,
like Tim Curry and stuff like that.
mhm,
Uh, I want to say I was probably about 8 or 9 too, but I will say that one of my first was also Lost Boys, and it was because my mom loved that film, and it's the same thing. It's like I think the only scene that scared me as a kid was the um. And of course, not at your age, but like when I was younger, like the 8 or 9, like when you probably first saw it, the scene that really scared me was when they went to feed on the people dancing around the campfire, like all the like the punk
mm,
rockers and stuff. And it's just because that was the first time you saw the vampires become very like visceral, like they were biting them
mhm,
on the
Mm-hmm.
top of the bald head and like blood was squirting everywhere and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
mhm.
no, so that was Lost Boys was definitely one for me, but it was probably either Stephen King's It or the first Pet Cemetery. I don't know if you've seen that one yet either, but Zelda from Pet
Mhm.
Cemetery sticks with me to this day, that's for sure.
Nice. Yeah, so Lost Boys, was there anything in that was like scary for you or
Mm-hmm.
what about that movie stuck out to you so much? I'm just curious, from your perspective.
I feel like really it was just like the like really like showing like gore scenes and like people being like pinned on the head like the vampires being like pinned to the wall with a stake or something like that and there'd be like blood everywhere. I feel like that was really the only thing that was really triggering, but nothing else was really that bad.
Yeah, that got me when I was young too. Like when they would stake the vampires, because they would start screaming while the blood was like
Hmm.
flowing
Yeah.
out so much, and it was like, yeah, it was just like a sensory overload pretty much. And I was just like,
Hmm.
Hmm.
ah! I remember being a little kid. It was like almost like seeing the blood
Yeah.
rave. That's another movie I always forget about is Blade, but I saw that kind of young. But
Oh yeah.
the blood rave, I remember just watching it like,
Uh,
there's blood
whoa.
everywhere. People were yelling and dancing.
Yeah, when we watched that, I remember because I remember thinking like, oh yeah, there's nothing too gnarly in this. And then I forgot about the bathtub scene
Oh yeah.
where they put him in the bathtub and he just explodes.
Oh,
It's so good. But yeah, that's a good one. So, I guess that leads us into like my next question would be, you know, since seeing that and seeing some other things, like what makes you keep wanting to watch horror movies after you see like this crazy stuff?
well, I was already really into Halloween, and I feel like I was a really big movie person. Like almost I was really stuck into like one movie like every month. So like it would be like 1 month I'd be like, "Dad, can we go watch E.T.? Can we watch E.T.?" And I'll ask that like every night. And so I feel like after I watched my first horror movie, I really liked it and I was like, I want to watch more like this, but nothing like too scary at a young age. But yeah.
That's
No.
so funny. You probably can relate to that, Tim, with your kid because
Oh yeah.
he super fixates on certain things, So,
Yeah, I showed
so
him
yeah.
Krampus during Christmas, and he will be like mid-July. Can we watch Krampus? I'm like, no, dude, it's not, it's not that time of year. Like, he wanted to watch Idle Hands for like 6 weeks straight because he got to accidentally watch. We went on like a little family vacation, and I don't know
Mhm.
if you've seen Idle Hands yet, Penelope. It's R-rated, but it's not really too vulgar, I guess. But
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that goes too over the top on it. But pretty much, we went on a vacation, and my son had like this whole room to himself, like Netflix, watch Smurfs, whatever he wanted to watch. And I was like, "You can either watch this, or we're gonna watch Idle Hands on the projector." And he was like, "I want to watch that." So
Heck yeah.
I like let him watch it, and for like 6 weeks, I was thinking he would fall asleep, not like it. He watched the whole movie, and for like 6 weeks straight, wanted to watch it, and was like every night, "Can we watch Idle Hands?" I was like, "No, dude, go to sleep." Like,
That rules. Yeah, that's definitely on the list to show Penelope too.
yeah.
So I think she'll dig that one. So it's pretty fun.
It's
Yeah.
fun, but it's got enough scares to keep you like creeped out and like interested, not just like yeah, not
hmm
just straight horror comedy for sure.
Yeah. Um Heck yeah. Uh so you said Lost Boys, wasn't that scary. I feel like everybody has that one movie though that like totally wrecked them. And you've had a chance to see some other like more rated R or more serious horror films. Is there one that you saw that really, really, really scared you?
Um, so, well, I think it was one night I really wanted to watch a scary movie, and I wanted it to be like scary, scary, because I felt like I wanted to see something really scary.
Let
So,
me let me pause you real quick because I know where this is going. But
I
what
think I know
so
where it's going to.
yeah, what films had you been watching that were like starting to like make you feel braver? Because what else had you been watching too? Because you saw Lost Boys,
um,
but then over the past like 3 years, you've been checking out, some of them were like more PG-13, but there's still been some like pretty good ones.
Yeah,
I
the
think
scares have
I
gone up.
watched
Hmm.
all of Stranger Things. So I had all of Stranger Things watched, and then I definitely had like, I think Insidious
Hmm.
watched, and this other movie I can't think of, but it was like about these kids, their grandparents get like possessed or something. And it was really, I don't remember what it's
Oh,
called,
The
but
Visit.
yeah, The
Yeah,
Visit.
that
Yeah.
movie
I remember
rules.
that.
And then didn't you watch The Ring?
Yeah, The Ring I've watched. So,
And you watched The Grudge, right?
yeah, The Grudge. I really like The Grudge.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of like, her and her friends were starting to be like, oh, like I want to see something scarier. And I'm just like, all right, well, let's, The Ring was pretty scary for like most middle school kids, So I was like, all right, let's start there. Let's see how you handle that. Uh,
Dude, The
and
Grudge.
so,
I watched The Grudge. When I was working at the movie theater when I was assistant manager, they like sh
mhm.
sent me up to Maryland for like a weekend to like train, and I was in a hotel room by myself, and I was like, I haven't seen The Grudge since like early 2000s. I was like, let me watch this again. And because I was like a big fan of The Ring, so I watched that one over and over again. But
Mhm.
like I watched The Grudge like once and that was it. So I watched that again and it still holds up. It's still got like some scary moments in it. So like
Mhm.
no, I definitely agree. Like Lost Boys is probably like out of all the films you named, Lost Boys might still be my favorite out of all those, but it's probably the least scary. Like you definitely have
Mhm.
seen some scarier, like The Grudge is scarier, The Ring is scarier. As much as Insidious to me is like whatever, it's scarier. Like it's got some like the lipstick demon and some of the stuff that
Oh
Mhm.
happens in the
yeah.
further is very creepy. So no, you definitely upped your scare factor before like going into the film that I'm sure y'all are about to talk about. But
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
tell them about what I did after you watched Insidious.
Oh, so you know how they have that song?
Father of the Year.
So you know that song that's like tiptoe through the tulips? So basically, me and my friend, we were watching it and we had like all the lights off in our room and we like had the curtains closed so that it would be really dark and then we'd eat popcorn and have like my LED lights on and then we were like making bracelets and that stuff while we watched it and then once the movie ended, we turned the lights on and it was like super bright and then we were just like talking for a little bit and then my dad came up to my door and he put the song on his phone and he put it like right under the like crack of the door at the bottom and he started playing it and we screamed so loud. There's definitely moments in the movie where we screamed and my dad was laughing. Like you could hear him laughing downstairs because we screamed. Yeah. But I also remember we really just got scared of the parts where there was like tiny jump scares where you didn't expect it, like when like the dad is sitting there and then like it goes back to like one of the other parents and then it goes back to the dad and it's just a monster, like it's really fast.
yeah,
And then I remember also there was a part where they walk into a room and there's like a shadow figure in the corner of the room and I was not expecting that and I got scared. So,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
No,
so go ahead.
I was gonna say one of my favorite scenes from Insidious is when like Rose Byrne is at the wife is at the house by herself and she
Mhm.
like goes outside because she like thinks she sees a kid outside, but then like
Oh
while she's
yeah.
outside she thinks she sees somebody inside her house. It's like it's not even like some of
Oh
the stuff
yeah.
is like
mhm,
there's some good jump scares in the movie, but there's just some stuff in it too that makes you just feel so unsettled. Like if I was at
mhm,
my house and that happened, like I'm not going back inside. Like I'm outside for the rest of the
Mm-mm.
exactly.
day. So no, I definitely
That kid can handle it himself.
yeah. And you're
Um,
traumatizing your daughter with Tiny Tim. No, I'm just kidding.
but yeah, so I guess fast forward, now that you've gotten like those movies under your belt, there was one night where she was just like, I want to like I've seen Scary. Like let's kick it up a notch. And so I was like, all right, cool. Like I'm down and I just wanted to pick something that, that was also just okay for her to see, that wasn't going to be like too sexual or anything weird like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell 'em about the scariest movie you saw.
Okay, so we watched a few trailers for scary movies, and the one I wanted to watch was The Descent, and I I'm never finishing it. It was maybe when I'm older, but like it was really scary. Like I didn't like the like how there would be like in a scene you would see something in the background and it would go to a different person and then go back to the same scene and the thing would be gone. As soon as I saw that, I freaked out and I was like, "No, turn this off. I don't want to watch this anymore." Yeah, it scared me. And then we just watched like the ending because I didn't believe that she would get out of the cave. So my dad was like, "Okay, we'll just show it to you right now." And so she does get out of the cave, but then in the ending, she's like driving away and then she turns to her side and then there's something in the seat with her. And yeah, um, it's just not for me. Maybe when I'm older.
Mhm.
Did you explain to
Yeah.
her that the two endings? That there's two
Oh no,
endings?
I haven't. No, I kind of I was like, oh, maybe keep this a surprise, but I don't even know if it really matters.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah.
it just depends on when you watch it again, like what version you
Hmm.
watch. But so that movie, obviously, you saw enough to see that they're all like very British. So it was like it was
Hmm.
released in the UK first for like a whole year, and then it got released over in the US. And the original ending, in the UK, she like gets out, but then something happens where she you end up realizing that she didn't really get out, that it was just like
Mm,
a vision in her head.
Hmm.
And so but and then of course like then the US version they were like that's too bleak, so then they like did the
yeah,
version where she actually escapes or whatever. So they went on to make a sequel, but it's like that's one of those movies that has like a few endings. Same thing with like I don't know if you've seen Paranormal Activity yet. That's definitely a good
that's
one
on the
to
list for
yeah, I
her.
was gonna say that's definitely a good one to start showing about this age, but because it got the scares, but there's nothing like inappropriate in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's definitely creepy for sure. Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. Yeah, after that one and the so yeah, she freaked out at the scene where you really first see like the cave dweller like lurking in the background
Oh
and it, and she's like, "What the hell?" Um and then I think we got to the part where they have to like cross that like mini gorge and they have to rappel across it and then like right at the very end it slips and she tries to grab the rope with her hand and it ends up like slicing it super open. And the descent was probably like the first like because she's seen some gory stuff, like you've seen The Thing,
yeah.
yeah,
So she's used to like fun practical effects, even if it gets pretty gory. But The Descent was probably the first like really bloody film that was like meant to be like just realistic and like super visceral in that way.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I'm usually just used to things like blowing up. Like in the thing, there's like a lot of heads blowing up and like things crawling out of them, of the people, and then they blow up. So like I'm used to like that stuff. So
oh yeah. Is the Descent the only thing so far that's really like got you that you haven't really been able to finish, or
I think so. I can't really think of any other horror movie that I haven't watched that I can't finish.
yeah,
I mean, there's probably like when I first saw it, I probably was definitely scared for other horror movies. But once I started watching them again, they didn't really bother me that much because I already knew what was happening. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you're at an age now where she seems to like, just truck through it,
yeah,
But definitely when she was more like 10, like because we started Child's Play a few times and it was like there's one time it was like right when Chucky kind of like attacks the
Mom.
not the mom, she attacks the friend, and
yeah.
she jumps out the window or gets pushed out the window.
Hmm.
It was like the first
The
point where
babysitter.
he gets like really loud and starts like cussing her out, and
Oh.
Penelope was like, "Nope,
Yeah.
I'm good." And so we had to stop it there. And then she ended up finishing it later, and she was like, "Oh, that wasn't that bad." Which honestly is a good segue into another question. This was one that Tim had. Um, do you want to ask this one?
But no, that is a good segue though. Is like, have there ever been anything like growing up, for instance, my parents used to talk up The Exorcist. They were like, you cannot handle The Exorcist. So I didn't even see that movie until I was like in my 20s. Is there any movies or anything like that that like has been so hyped up or just, like that you've heard so much about that you're kind of nervous to watch and like a little bit like trepidatious of like it being super scary when you finally check it out?
I feel like I'm gonna be nervous to watch it because I don't like clowns at
Yeah.
all. Like I have stories when I've gone to a haunted hayride and I'm literally ducked down crying because I saw a clown. Yeah, and it was the first hayride I went on. It was like my mom's friend. I don't remember. I don't think it was the first hayride, but it was definitely like one of the scarier ones that I went on. And there was a lot of her kids and like family dressed up as clowns and I did not like that at all. And there was like a scene where there was a curtain and there was like a light behind it and there was someone pretending to stab like someone
Mhm.
and I was like I hate this and I just ducked down and started crying the whole time because I didn't and then the funny thing is I didn't even have any nightmares about it. So yeah, but I've never liked clowns, especially at like there's this like Halloween place we go to almost like for the past 3 years, but they have a lot of rides there, and they usually have clowns that are like waiting in the lines, and they usually have clowns lurking around because like it's kind of like Hollow Scream,
It's
but
Hunt Club and
yeah, the Hunt Club.
Oh yeah.
And basically, I never really liked it because they'll walk around with chainsaws and they'll like blow their horn in your face, and it's just I've never liked it. So
they're a bunch of goofballs.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
wild as
but
like even as far back as I can remember, clowns have been associated with funny as far as they've been associated with
Hmm.
scary too.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's
so true.
never been separated.
So yeah, I can understand your fear and hype towards it. Is there anything that you've seen though that you're like you were nervous to watch it, and then when you finally watched it, you were like, oh, that was
Oh,
nothing.
yeah, probably Clowns from Outer Space because
Oh
I
yeah.
because my dad was telling me about it a lot and he like told me that it's like it's really funny, but it can also there can be like some scenes that are not so funny.
Yeah.
And so like it just got me like nervous a little bit, I guess, because again, I don't like clowns. So like when I saw them, I'm like, "Oh, this is not that bad." But then once they actually started like attacking people, I was like, "Oh, okay." So this is kind of yeah, but I feel like it doesn't really bother me now since I've seen it. But yeah, I that movie's really good too. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna. I remember. I thought you were gonna mention Jaws because that was another one you saw
oh yeah.
recently. That she, because we live at the beach, and
Hmm.
for the longest time, she's like, "I am not watching a movie about sharks that are gonna eat me."
Yeah.
And then as soon as it was done, she was like, "Isn't this supposed to be scary?" And I was like, "It was in the '70s."
Yeah.
You think it's gonna be
Yeah.
some mass devourment, and it's just like, like six people maybe. Like,
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Now you mentioned a bunch of movies. Of course, we've mentioned ones that you've been scared of, like ones that that you just really enjoyed. Do you have a favorite horror film of all time so far? Like, of course, like I know your library's a little smaller, but like, do you have one that sits up there at the top?
Definitely Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream because
Hell yeah.
I really like movies like that because there's like a lot of characters and I like it when there's like one main character that like actually stays alive or like doesn't have a backstory to ending up to something because like in Scream there's just one killer. I like movies with like a group of killers, but like I just like also one that's like, oh, you guys have to be careful because there's a killer on the loose. Like that's why I really like Nightmare on Elm Street because everybody's like, don't fall asleep and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, something nobody can
Technically,
avoid.
Scream has two killers.
well, wait. Well, yeah, technically, the first one.
Yeah. No, but I know what you mean though. It's like it lives in a realistic like world of like actual killer being on
Hmm.
the loose where
Mhm.
Jason Voorhees
Yeah.
and stuff like that is like this big hulking creature that like has to come from like some certain place where Ghostface could be your best friend, it could be your uncle, it could be
Mhm.
Yeah.
anybody. Yeah. So no, there's like a realistic scariness to Scream, and then of course like there's a scariness to Nightmare on Elm Street with like nobody can avoid falling asleep. Like you can go maybe
Mhm.
24 hours, like do as long as possible, but eventually you will fall asleep. So
Oh yeah, definitely. Is there so, now that you've seen also, you kind of mentioned what your favorites are. Is there something that you like more style wise? Like what do you think is like cooler? Are you more into like paranormal, ghost? Do you like the slashers where it's some kind of killer or monsters? Do you like something that's more like zombies or a creature? Like what do you think is
Um,
is best?
Definitely the killer one because I feel like it just gives more tension to the movie and more like creation and that stuff because it's more mysterious because like if it's like a mass killer then you're like whoa who is it? I think it's this person but then it'll actually end up being like that person. That's why Scream is one of my favorites because at first you just think it's one killer but then once you find out Billy and Stu are both the killers then it's like whoa I never knew that.
Yeah, it
spoiler
has a
alert. No, I'm just kidding.
whoa.
That's my
I didn't
favorite.
know.
No, that's my favorite as well, and that's exactly one of the reasons though is like that whodunit aspect is like and it makes it for actual franchise that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the first four Friday the 13th, and again I'm like saying Friday the 13th, but that's probably uh Scream's my favorite horror film, but Friday the 13th is probably my favorite just franchise overall, just because I enjoy all
Mhm.
11 films or whatever, and it's hard to
Mhm.
put out that many films that are enjoyable. But the first four, or at least the first three, are like the same film just rehashed and it's
Mhm.
like who the killers. Well, the first one's kind of a whodunit, but this day and age, it's kind of like, the that's spoiled. But once it becomes Jason Voorhees, it's just Jason Voorhees, where, we're on Scream 7 coming up, and again, it's going to go in, and you're going to have to figure out who the killer is, and it just makes it,
Mhm.
it's like, even if the film's not fun, like even if the film's not good in the franchise, there's still something in it to make it worth watching that first time, because you get to watch it with all right, let's see who they're going to make the killer this time. So no, it's
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. It's one of those things with supernatural films, when they start to feel very repetitive. Like, I love a good possession film, but it's very hard to do a good possession film that doesn't feel like it's just repeating The Exorcist, or repeating,
Mhm.
the actual film Possession, the French film or whatever it is. But so all these other stuff. But
Yeah, is there anything, I mean, you mentioned liking having a story or some kind of mystery. Is there anything else that you think now is like quintessential for a good horror movie? Like there's certain things that I like I like movies that are campy, so that I like a horror film that has like a good way to throw in a little bit of humor. I like practical effects. I am very interested in atmosphere. So, what does like the overall tone look like? So, is there anything that sticks out to you that now that you're excited to watch something or you anticipate, like what are the things that you look for in a horror movie?
Definitely the setting. I really like horror movies that are in like a town, but it's like a small town, so a lot of people know each other. So that's another reason why I like Scream, because it's like the sheriff knows the dad and like all that stuff. But I really like a good like foggy like stuff like that. So if it's like a foggy town where it's like always like kind of fall season and stuff like that, that's that gives me in a good vibe for a movie.
hmm. So speaking of films, that like live in the world of like a smaller like town and stuff like that, where everybody knows each other. We mentioned you like in Stranger Things and some other stuff. How do you feel about films that tackle like teenagers? Do you feel like sometimes when you're watching them, that they uh feel like it's teenagers just written by adults, or is there some stuff out there like Stranger Things that feel, a little bit more authentic to you?
I mean, in Stranger Thing, it definitely feels like it's coming from a kid because it's more of like a kid sounding voice and stuff like that. And since it's like a timeline kind of show, it seems more teenager. But like in a movie like Scream, if they definitely say something that's like cringy, or if any movie just says something cringy, it just sounds kind of like that's not something a teenager would say, really. So.
Yeah. Now, I was just watching, speaking of movies that we shouldn't show our kids, I was watching The Monkey last night with my 4-year-old, maybe 2 nights ago. But,
Nice.
which that's like, it was a rewatch. So that's why, like, I didn't mention it, like, on our first time watches or whatever. But I forgot just like how much like the dialogue talks about like everybody dies and like stuff like that. It gets
Mm.
very like deep. It's like everybody, like this and that. But there's a scene in it where like one of the kids literally looks at him. He's like, uh, "Say you want to marry the monkey," and he's like, "Say you want to suck its banana." And I'm like, "No fucking kid would say
Oh.
that." I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, that's
Yeah.
so like stupid. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I love this movie, but if I was to rate it, I would have to give like the dialogue would drastically drop the movie down, because
Sure.
there's so many things in the movie where I'm like, no child, like even a kid
Mhm.
like talking crap to each other would not say that. You know what I mean? So
hmm
I was just like, that's freaking, I don't know. So no, I definitely feel what you're saying, but
I mean, maybe like 6-year-olds today, but like, because they just like to say stuff like that to be funny, even though it's not.
This is true. I coached U8 boys in soccer. And it was the only like the first time I ever tried coaching. And I was just used to all I have is Penelope. And so I'm used to girls and her friends, and they're always so nice. Um, and coaching those kids, like it was like nonstop them wrestling and saying like Petus or just like dumb stuff. I'm like, what is wrong with you kids? Stop like spanking each other and being weird. And I'm like, boys are different. I was like, I didn't know what I signed up for.
hitting you with that skibbity toilet.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, it was rough.
That's the
So
shit my
I was like,
4-year-old be saying. I'm like, stop it, dude. Like, you too, too young.
calm down. Yeah, it's funny. Um, yeah, teenagers, yeah, I mean, we grew up in a different time too with the horror films that we saw where like, you know, especially the 90s, like teenagers were like 30-year-olds in films. So um I feel like it seems like more current films, like the age seems more accurate, even if they are using like 20-year-olds or whatever, but they do seem, at least to me, they seem younger,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Well, it's kind of different my perspective because whenever we watch Buffy, whenever like I look at like Buffy, I'm like she looks way too old to be 16 because
That's what
like
I'm talking.
'cause-
That's the 90s. That's how they cast those
yeah, but like
films.
they'll be like one like the start of the show, it's like Buffy turned 16 and I'm like she's 16, she looks like she's supposed to be graduating high school. And yeah.
Yeah, it's like you start to wonder,
Yeah, I'm trying
like,
to.
why not just put him in college? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of a recent horror film that you maybe would have seen that isn't just Stranger Things, because Stranger Things they get introduced so young. So, but yeah, what else modern have you seen?
say that's the one thing that have gotten better at over the years, though, is
Mm,
like, for instance, like The Craft or Scream. Like those are
mm,
two films from 1996 that are like perfect films. I love them both. Like I give them 10 out of 10 or whatever. But again, it's like 30-year-olds playing
mhm.
16, 17-year-olds. But Stranger Things, Summer of '84, like literally Fear
Yeah,
Street, all those movies, like these kids at least seem like they might be like 18, 19 playing 16, 17, but they don't seem
sure.
like they got like a double the age gap. So I will say it's gotten better over the years in that
Mhm.
aspect. But
That seems weird to me because I feel like in the first season, when they're supposed to be graduating high school and they're supposed, not high school, middle school, and they're supposed to be in eighth grade looking 13, but they actually look like they're like 11, just starting middle school, in my opinion. I feel like they
yeah,
look younger to be graduating, like at least be in like seventh grade, going to eighth grade or something like that.
Yeah. Also, I think that's an interesting perspective for you to have because you're looking at, because here's another thing, like when we've watched films from like the 80s or whatever, Penelope would be like, was this shot in like the 60s? So like I do think that teenagers looked way different, and weren't as, I feel like teenagers now try to be more adult looking, than they ever have before. And whereas like in the 80s, I think maybe this is just a good indication on how well the Duffer Brothers cast those kids and all the costuming and makeup, because I think the whole point is they're supposed to be dorky, middle school kids, and kids, an eighth grader in the 80s does not look like what an eighth grader looks like today. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
But
So,
even like the adults of today, like the people that are like in their mid 20s, like about 5 years younger than us, well, 5 years
mhm.
younger than me, maybe like 8 years younger than you. I know we're a little bit. I know you're like slightly older than me, but not by much. But I didn't want to try to guess it, so I gave you 3 years. I was like, I try to be generous, but
I'll take it.
no, I
I
think it
know
might
that's not
only
the answer, but I'll take
I think it
it.
might only be around three, but either way, it's one of those things though. It's like look at some of the famous people that are like adults this day and age. They
Mm,
look like they could
sure.
be teenagers, like Sabrina Carpenter, uh,
Hmm.
Speed, Kai Cenat, like all those people. Like I'm just thinking about like people that are like on my like For You page, not like obviously like
Sure.
actors and stuff, because they have a certain look to them and stuff when they're like getting into movies. But like even
Mhm.
Timothy Chalamet, like he's hitting his 30s, and that dude looks like he's fucking 15. So it's like.
That dude's 30.
Well, I mean, he's got to be. Alexa, how old is Timothy Chalamet?
Timothy Chalamet is 29 years old.
Yeah, so he's about.
What?
Yes.
Thanks for your feedback.
So that's yeah. So
Also, can I just say this is the I love that you just used Alexa in the middle of the podcast. That rules.
I'll leave it in if it works.
No, that was sick. I could hear
But no, it's
it.
so it's one of those things that it's like it's just wild to me, like how some of these people look so young. Like even my cousin, I
Yeah.
just went and visited her when we were in Durham for the last podcast. I went and visited her for the first time in like a year since she had her second kid, and to me, she's always looks 13 years old, but she's fucking like
Yeah.
pushing like 26, 27 now, and I'm like, this is wild. So
Yeah, that's
no,
weird.
it's like I feel like even just people in general have just been able to like hold on to youth a little bit better going
Hmm.
forward, like and been able to
It's
stay
true.
younger looking, go longer, just because of the way that they, people put health first more than we did back in the day,
It's
and
true.
just random stuff. So, no, definitely has like worked in their favor more than anything. So I think
Mhm.
that's also helped with the casting because they can cast 25-year-olds, but they look 13. To where before it's like they were
Mhm.
casting 25-year-olds, but those motherfuckers look 35 because they've been smoking since they were 13
Mhm.
and drinking at Johnny Depp's club and all that stuff. So
I hear you. Um, I have another question, and this is probably like the last of like breaking down horror films for you. Is there anything in a horror movie now like that you're like absolutely no, I won't watch it if it has X, Y, or Z? Like, what is a deal breaker for you when it comes to scary movies?
So like something that I'll be like, no, if it has this, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, like what
yeah,
is your limit? Like I'm at a point in my life where watching horror movies, there's not really a whole lot that I would ever be like, I can't, I'm not gonna turn anything off. I might turn it off because the movie's just bad and I'm bored with it, but I'm so desensitized to most violence in horror films that I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's see it. So,
Probably movies with very like violent like killing and stuff like that. So like I know you watched Violent Night. Mm, no, I won't watch that because it has. I just know that because I remember you telling me about it because Hopper plays the guy that plays Hopper in Stranger Things. He plays the Santa Claus, but like he's like killing all these bad guys with machine guns and axes and like bats and all that stuff. So I just feel like anything with very violent killing is something I wouldn't like. So
and this isn't funny, but like in my head, all I can think of is like, kids these days didn't grow up on Terminator or Rambo. Like, what's wrong? Like that's the type of stuff that like is the least scary for me. I'm just like, oh yeah, just machine gun everybody. That's fun. Let's do that.
right.
That's what I grew up as a kid.
I feel like the only closest movie that I've ever had to a machine gun is that one movie where that kid is like with that one guy that's like I can't remember what it's called, but like it's like a kid and this guy and he uses like a gun to kill a lot of people and he's like a cool car and they like blow up his house and stuff like that.
What is this
I
movie?
don't it's like I can't think of it, but it's like something
Very intrigued.
I
Yeah,
I
now I'm
can't
dying
think
now.
of it
What
now.
else happens in the movie? So,
He like they're like trying to do something, but like this guy from the past like oh, it's the guy when he goes into the movie.
Oh, Last Action
oh,
Hero.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
when
Arnold
he
Schwarzenegger.
uses a lot of guns.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, now I remember.
Well, for a second, I was like, it just sounds like you're describing Terminator. I was like, but I know you haven't seen that. Um, but yeah, yeah, that one's a good one. Honestly, I think
Yep.
you need to rewatch that. I think you'd be surprised because that's just a fun movie. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
movie so much. Um, but yeah, anything else other than violence? Is there anything else in a horror film that you're like, I can't watch this if they do this?
Mm, not that I can really think of, but just really any like really, really like really bad violence.
What if something bad happens to an animal?
No. It's something like literally I started crying at the start of Ace Ventura Pet Detective because a raccoon fell from a wire and I started crying because I don't like it when animals get hurt and because they were in the jungle, they were in like a tightrope and like the raccoon just falls to the ground and I'm like, why do they need to start off the movie like that?
And I'm laughing and I look like an asshole because I'm laughing at the scene because of course Penelope's crying and she's like, I don't want to watch this movie. This is a horrible film. And I'm like, oh, he's got to be sad that he didn't save a raccoon. So that's why he goes to the Buddhist monks and he, gets away. I was like, this is how movies are.
Yeah. Never
And it's
watched
the
Mile I
same
Notice,
thing.
that's for sure.
Oh no. Oh my gosh, there's so many movies that I'm like absolutely not cannot show this to her.
Yeah, I remember also crying in when I first watched the first Enola Holmes movie because the Enola Holmes she was fighting a bad guy and she like pushed him or something and he like spinned around and there was this like pole inside of this room and he hit his head on it and it was like a metal pole and I thought that it was a spike and I thought it went through his head and so I was like no 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 and I started like crying and then my mom and dad were just like they were just like it was just a circle on top of it. He just hit his head. It's fine. I thought it went through his head.
Yeah, she's definitely in the past she's had like if a film has like a really good like stab sound effect like that just like shlook,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or even like a bludgeoning where you hear like if the Foley is done where it's just like really really, effective, then yeah, that definitely wigs her out for sure. But
I'm
I would say
assuming,
animals is probably the worst.
yeah. As I say, I'm assuming that you've only seen the first of Nightmare on Elm Street. Then,
Mhm.
if I was, yeah, because some of those get pretty rough with the kills, that's for sure. But I mean, rough if you don't like it, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. But I mean, she saw the first Final Destination. So she's
yeah.
no stranger to
I guess,
like just
I guess as long as there's a fantasticalness to the kills,
mhm,
something to
yeah.
make it like a little less realistic, like. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Like, there's a one of the things that's always gotten to me, and I'm sure you haven't seen the film yet, Penelope, but definitely should check it out. Green Room.
Mm.
There's a scene where like a guy. The film is about a standoff between like a band and a bunch of like neo-Nazis, and there's a scene where they have a gun and they're like, "Give me back the gun," and he reaches the gun out and he like to give it back to him, and when he does that, they grab his hand and they like chop him with like a machete a few times, and when he like pulls his hand back in, his hand is like all like
Oh.
fuck, and I'm like it's so realistic that like
Uh,
affects me more than watching like the girl getting hit by the bus in Final Destination, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it just, so it's like I definitely can
mhm,
understand where you're coming from. Sometimes the realistic gore is just so much worse than like that fantastical stuff because it's you're way more able to
mhm.
separate yourself from the reality of it than like something that you're like that could happen and it could hurt. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Um, do you want to get into like a hypothetical question, like something a little more fun, less scary violence?
yeah, I think the only thing I wanted to ask left of like I guess you could technically call it non-hypothetical.
Sure.
Ooh, if I can say that word, you could technically call it non-hypothetical. Is what would you say like just like your consensus or like amongst your friends is horror popular
Oh
these
yeah.
days or like is horror kind of still looked at as like that's the weird kid stuff or how is it like looked upon at like your age range is like do a lot of people like horror movies or at least like the thrill of getting scared by them.
I definitely think that a lot of kids in my school like horror movies because whenever I wear my Buffy sweatshirt to school, they're always like, "I like your sweatshirt, I like your sweatshirt," and they like compliment a lot of like scary stuff that I wear. So I definitely know a few kids that have been like, "Oh, you're watching Scream? Which one are you watching?" And like they'll be like, "Oh, I've watched all of them. You're watching the third one? That's so cool." Like I definitely think there's kids that don't think horror is weird. Some kids might, but like other kids I definitely know that are like my friends definitely love horror. So
Oh yeah.
What are the types of kids? Are they just everybody? Are there groups of kids that are you like, oh, those are the kids that like horror movies, or is it like what is that vibe?
normally you can't really tell. Like I mean, someone could be dressed in all pink and they could be like, "Oh yeah, I've watched all the Terrifier movies." Like you can never know. So
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like it was very different from us, wouldn't you say, Tim?
Yeah. No, it was definitely one of those things that like people went out and saw some things, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like everybody went out and saw Paranormal Activity because that was like a big thing that came out when we were in high school and it wasn't rated R if I'm not mistaken. So, and
Yeah, I don't think so.
if it was like right about that age where we're all hitting 17 anyways. So
Hmm.
there was just a few things like The Conjuring, when that came out it was like right after high school, so everybody was like rushing out to see that. But for the most part though, it was one of those things where if like I was wearing like a Nightmare on Elm Street shirt, like nobody would have really been like dope shirt, bro. You know what I mean? Or nothing like that.
hmm
And if they did, they probably would have been wearing either like another, they probably would have been wearing all black or, something similar as well, like a Meshuggah shirt or Cradle of
Yeah.
Filth or something like that. So,
Yeah, it was definitely for me, it was always like the metal kids or the punk kids or skater kids. Anybody that was like more alternative, but it's like it's so weird because there's not the same kind of cliques, and she's in a we're in a small town, so it's like
Yeah.
there's only so many kids, but it is not like how it used to be in middle school where it's like you got the jocks, you got the preps, you got
Hmm.
it's way different. And I'm like, I don't understand.
I mean, you definitely have people who are really sporty and like just do sports, but you can sometimes you can tell what groups are which. Like really, it's the same, but it's way different. It's more like Gen Z and that stuff. Like it's not really jocks. Now it's just like football players. And instead of like, I mean, we still do have like preppy people, but our preppy is way different. Like it's preppy is like someone who like does a lot of skincare and has a lot of pink and like smiley face things. It's not really like sweaters and that stuff anymore.
Thank you. No, hell
So
yeah.
funny.
No, and even like nowadays, like people that I grew up with that wouldn't have seemed into horror back then are like into horror now. So it's just wild the stuff like how popular it's become just in general. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah, we could definitely dive into some hypothetical stuff. You want to kick off which one you want to jump into first?
Sure. Okay, my hypothetical question is, uh, if you were able to direct your own horror movie, what would it be about? What would you call it? And who would you cast in it?
Oh wow. So that's a lot, but um I feel like I would do more of like a mysterious movie, like a more of a mystery, kind of try to solve something. I feel like it wouldn't really be about a killer though. I feel like it would more be like a small town where like things happen that like nobody really knows until it starts getting like worse and worse. So like kind of like the Appalachian Mountains. I don't know if I said that right.
Appellation, yeah.
Appalachian Mountains. So like you know how there's like a lot of paranormal stuff that people talk about and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard like screams in the woods or like I've seen a figure or something like that." I feel like it would be more like that and I feel like it would be more about like people going missing or something. And I feel like the plot twist would probably be like something like huge, like maybe like things have been like being controlled by this one thing or something and like that and it's been like I don't really know. Kind of like like I've heard stories about it, but I've never seen it. But like the movie Smile, how there's like that one monster that's like gets onto the people and then the people go to other people and other people. So kind of like that, but it's more like one big thing is controlling all these other things. So it's also kind of like Stranger Things with like the big monster controlling all of like the Demogorgons and Demodogs and stuff like that. So,
Thank you. And being Appalachian, you could even do like the Wendigo or something like that. Can kind of be like
yeah.
do like a mixture of like that with like yeah, like the Mind Flayer or whatever. So
I'm not gonna lie, other than her talking about like the Appalachian setting, for a second I was like, are you just describing weapons?
oh yeah.
That's kind of I was like, you haven't even seen that movie. You don't even know what that movie is. But that's so funny. That's a cool. I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're setting up like some lore and maybe some like cryptid like or folklore kind of like mysterious creature like that's kind of fun and different.
Kind of like Krampus, just not Christmas.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Okay. So if what's the title of this movie? You have to pick a title.
I don't know. Maybe just like something that's like known in the Appalachian. Oh my gosh, I can't say the word. Appalachian
Mhm.
Mountains. So like maybe like the Wendigo or something or like that. So really just anything like mysterious, like missing something or like that.
The
So.
Trails of
In the
Blood.
trees. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now, would you cast famous people to be in your movie, or would you just like pick your friends
No famous people and my friends.
and your friends? Oh, okay. Only the cool ones
I
get to be in.
definitely would want a movie with Jenna Ortega in it
Oh yeah.
Okay.
because she's a good actor.
Yeah.
She's in a lot of scary movies like Beetlejuice and Scream and Wednesday, like that stuff. I just feel like she'd be a good like main character or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Who would be what male actor would you have in it?
Hmm.
Doesn't always have to have males in it, dude.
It could.
Um, I feel like
The
it
Descent.
could.
It's
I
true.
feel like it could be
Yeah, is this a girl boss film?
no. I feel like it's just kind of like a group of teenagers that mess around, and then once they hear about this, they're like, "Oh, I want to go find this out," and then a bunch of their friends go missing and stuff like that. So kind of like The Descent, just with boys and girls.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Who would be the who would you cast to be the obnoxious dad?
You.
Oh, cool. Hey, at least I get to be in a movie. This is great.
She's like, load Tiny Tim up on the phone. Let's go.
And he gets killed in the first scene. See you later, Dad.
You've had enough screen time.
Yeah.
See the respect I get.
That's like that
Absolutely.
movie Book of Monsters. They paid Nicholas
Mhm.
Vince from Hellraiser for a cameo to be the dad, and he's literally like in the first scene, and then he shows up at the very end, like, "What happened in this house?" And then it's like everyone.
Yes. Heck yeah. Nice.
Hmm.
Do you want to do a hypothetical or do you
Yeah.
want to, yeah.
Uh, so after watching all these horror films, you've gotten some time to think about like all the hypothetical situations you could be stuck in, when with watching the protagonist go through it and stuff. Would you rather spend a night going through a haunted house and being stuck in there with a group of friends, or would you rather be chased through a cornfield by a clown?
Oh, definitely the haunted house because I don't like clowns.
But the haunted house, you have to spend the entire night.
Yeah, you have to.
So, cornfield, you can just run through the cornfield and you're done.
But would the clown like hide from you and then get you, or like would it just chase you the whole time? That's my biggest question.
Probably just
Cause that
chase you, but you'd have to hear it giggling and making its little whatever.
oh,
Honk, honk, honk.
I think I think I think I would be okay with that. I feel like that would be my choice if I had friends, because if I was with my friends, we would just make it into a big joke. We would be laughing at the clown and that stuff. I feel like we wouldn't really be scared how like because I feel like it wouldn't be like a real horror movie. I feel like it'd just be like acting like there's just someone in a mask like chasing us around to be funny. And I feel like it wouldn't be that serious unless like someone were to get killed by the clown. Like definitely we make it serious by then, but like if it was just a clown chasing us the whole time, it would definitely be fine. Yeah.
Let's say, let's set the stage. You and your friends are walking through a cornfield, and all of a sudden you stumble. You're like, "What's that? Is that smoke? Is that fire?" And all of a sudden you go through. It's a little opening, and there's a clown, and you're like, "What is he doing?" You hear, ch, and he turns and he picks it up. And it's a severed head of one of your friends. Do you still
Oh,
want to go with the clown in the cornfield, or do you
um,
do you still in the haunted house?
I feel like if it was a huge group that wouldn't be just me at the end, then
Just
yes.
push one down and run. You're just like,
She's like, my odds are good now.
I just have to
I re
outrun you guys. I don't.
Well, like, no, but like, I feel like it'd
Dang.
be like if it was like a huge group. So like if it was a bunch of boys and girls and like we were all hanging out and like that stuff and that and we went into the cornfield and we didn't know. And I feel like it would be really sad if I were to lose one of my friends, but like if I still had that huge group of people, I wouldn't be alone technically.
Right.
So,
You're like, I can make
Glass
new
is half
friends.
full.
Yeah. Plus, if you
So
leave a
good.
haunted house, something might stick with you. That's the other thing with the
That's
haunted
true.
house is like you could carry something home. You could be
yeah.
haunted for the rest of your life. Boom, poltergeist.
Cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, well, sweet. Those were pretty fun. Hypotheticals. Yeah, I just have two more questions to wrap things up
Yeah.
that we can go through. I'm happy to do this next one. So what's a horror movie that you would recommend, like you think kids your age, should definitely watch right now? Like if there is there anything current right now? It can be an older film that you just think like, oh, everybody's at the right age to watch this. Like what's one movie that you would suggest
Um,
if they are 12 or 13 years old?
I feel like it really just depends on what type of horror movie they're looking for. So if they're looking for more of like a mystery movie or more of like a killer movie or more of like just like a missing movie or something like that, I feel like it really just depends on what they're trying to look for, even if it's just a horror movie. Like, I feel like if someone were to ask what's a good like mass killer movie, then I definitely say Scream is really good if you like gory mystery like mass killer scenes and stuff like that. Or if they're like if I were to want to watch a more horror movie about a killer going through town killing people, then I'd probably say like Friday the 13th or like Halloween or even Nightmare on Elm Street, because like that's more of like Jason and the guy from Michael Myers from Halloween. They are masked, but it's more like a just like a spam of killing instead of like who is this guy and stuff like that. But also I don't know about those two because I've never watched Halloween. I mean, I've watched the sixth Friday the 13th because I wanted to watch one on Friday the 13th, but I've never really watched the first one and that stuff. So, but I've definitely watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
Thank you. No, and then of course, as far as like kind of the same realm, like if somebody came to you and said that they wanted to just start watching horror movies in general, but they were kind of like scared of it, what's some advice that you would give them? You know, like would you say something, maybe start with something like a series, you know, like would you say starting with a series like Stranger Things where you can kind of ease into it maybe helped you a little bit, or is there maybe like some other ways like reading some horror books or just anything else that you would say would help them ease into the movies maybe or the
I
experience?
would I would definitely start with horror books because it's not as like to get an uneasy feeling because it's not really like something you're watching, it's just something you're reading. But also it could be the opposite for a different person because you could be thinking the scene in your mind and you can make it 100 times worse than than the book is actually trying to describe.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, but also I would say start with something that goes from easy to extreme. So kind of like Stranger Things, where it starts off with just the Demogorgon, and it's like the only monster known right then, and they're like young, and so it's not that scary. But then in season two, then they have the Demodogs, and there's multiple, and there's so much more blood, and like Elle goes out of town, and then she's like, there's so much more screaming. And then season three, there's this whole huge monster, and there's like a mall that gets destroyed, and so much more like that. And then in season four, there's a killer that can kill in his mind, so he could kill you without actually being there in real life. He could just give you a vision and then just make it go away. So it really just depends on if you like to start with something easier or harder. So.
Hmm. What do
All
you
right.
recommend to somebody that's like, I want to see this scary movie, but like I'm just scared. How do you like, is there any steps that you would give somebody like that's like, you know what, I do want to be brave and I want to watch this one specific film. Like, what do you do to like, or what have you done to like make yourself feel safe watching a film? Like, do
I
you need to have a buddy? Do you need to have like special snacks or anything? Like, is there any, do you have a ritual to make you feel safe?
I feel like what helped me the most was definitely if I was watching like a scary movie for the first time, I definitely wouldn't watch it alone because I never knew what was coming. So I would like ask my dad or my mom to ask to watch with me. And then if I really needed to, I would bring a pillow and I bring my blanket, like my own blanket, because like I sleep with that blanket and it makes me like safe. So like I would bring my blanket down and then if there's a scary scene, I would just cover it myself up.
Mhm.
I just go under the blanket. And then I definitely would get popcorn and I would get my own drinks. That way I could actually have something to like eat. And like if I were to like see a scary scene, I just would like gasp and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's scary." And then I would just kind of like move on it. I mean, it would bother me at first, and then after it wouldn't really bother me unless it was like something really traumatic that happened in the movie.
Do you remember what we used to do when you were younger and there was like something crazy would happen on screen? What did I used to show you to like make you feel better about it? Do you remember?
No.
Probably don't even remember. Do you remember when I would show you like how like the behind the scenes in films like
Yeah. So I remember being scared of the time in Nightmare on Elm Street when it's John Cena, right? No.
John
Johnny
Cena.
No. Wait. Wait, it's a different. It's Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. I
That's so good.
it's because it's John. It's John.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, the funniest thing is, without you even knowing, I do that so much. And
Yeah.
so I'm sorry, I've just cursed you with brewerism of not being able to say names correctly.
Well, it's Johnny Depp, but it's the scene where he's like, it's when he gets killed, when he's like in his bed, and then all of a sudden he just starts sinking into his bed, and then like the full room starts like blood, like spraying like blood everywhere because the bed eats him, and then it just like fills up. And then when my dad showed me the behind the scenes, I was like, whoa, that's actually kind of cool how they did that. Because, yeah.
And it kind of helps you like
Separate.
dehumanize the fear and separate from like how sensational it might be. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I mean, it's all lights and magic, you know?
hmm
So,
That's also how I felt when I first watched Stranger Things, because I remember I was really scared of the Demogorgon because it was like really like real in the show. So it in the first season, I remember them saying that they actually had a guy like in a full suit and everything. But then in season 4, when they have Hopper and Joyce and Murray like fighting the Demogorgon in the cage, that's just CGI. So, because I like to listen to like behind the Stranger Things because it just like seemed pretty cool to me. But yeah, but I remember when I was little, when I first watched, like the first scary thing that I watched was probably the last episode of, maybe the episode before the last episode of Stranger Things season 3. So like I remember Jonathan went to the kitchen to grab a knife and he heated it up, and I remember Elle had the little thing stuck in her shin and he like cut into it and then it dug out and then it went everywhere, and I like didn't like that. And then I remember that night I was super scared to go to bed because I thought Billy was gonna come to my room and like take me or something, because I hated the scene when he died because it's just like he's like bleeding black. It's like so gross. And then like he at that time I didn't know that people could die with their eyes open. I just thought people died with their eyes closed. So when he like fell to the ground and he was just like this dead, I was like, oh, so that's how
Like,
people die? And so yeah.
no, that show
man,
traumatized you for sure.
yeah.
No, that's
Oh,
the one
yeah.
thing about watching horror movies is like some of the stuff that you start to realize is like, whoa, that could really happen. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
No, hell yeah. No, that's the same thing I
Mhm.
did with my son. Of course, he's a little younger and stuff, but like when he watched Creature from the Black Lagoon for the first time, like it was one of those things that he wasn't even, it wasn't that he was really scared of it, but just to kind of get ahead of that, like, in case he gets scared of something later. Like, we showed him pictures of, like them holding, like, the person in the full suit was like holding the mask, so you could see that
Mhm.
it's a human head inside. So, no, we did kind of the same thing for sure. So. I think that's honestly
Mhm.
the best way to help people, get through those scary movies is, kind of show them the behind the scenes as well as like, hey, if you're super scared to watch something, watch it with somebody that has seen it before.
Mhm.
That way, as you're watching it, if you see something that like really scares you, you can say like, hey, if this is coming up again, like, can you kind of give me a heads up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because so many horror movies like to repeat the same things with scares, especially like we mentioned, Insidious, like there's a lot of the same red face, the lipstick demon
Yeah.
is what they call them and stuff. So, like, say that really affected you the first time, you could have easily been like, hey, Dad, like, next time the lipstick demon comes up, like, kind of give me the nod, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So,
Mhm.
throw a popcorn at me or something. So, no, no, I definitely feel that for sure. That definitely, uh, sounds like good advice to me. But do y'all have anything y'all want to touch on before we wrap up or?
I don't think I
Mhm.
have any other questions, but I did want to share. It's super pertinent to this conversation, but when we had our show 2 weekends ago, we're playing movies at our booth, and we had Evil Dead 2 on, and this little girl, probably 8 or 9 years old, comes walking up, and she goes, "Is that Evil Dead 1 or is that Evil Dead 2?" And I was just like, "Oh," and I was like, "You know your stuff." I was like, "That's number 2," and she's like, "That's what I thought," and I was just like, "Dang, this girl rules." And the mom's like, Yeah, we watch, she pretty much watches everything with us. And I was like, oh, that's rad. Like I love sharing horror movies with my daughter. I was like, that's really cool. That's rad that you're able to like, foster a safe environment where you can, share these kind of movies and talk about them. And the little girl, like, without skipping a beat, goes, I mean, we're a goth family. Of course we're gonna watch horror movies. And I was like, you're the cutest kid I've ever met. I was
Oh
like, you
yeah.
guys are awesome. So it's as a parent, it's been super rad sharing, this stuff with Penelope. Um, I've always like tried really hard not to like force anything upon her. Like, I swear anything that she wants to watch, I encourage it, but like, I show it to her if she's like, oh, I'm, curious about this movie. Can I watch that? And so, and if I think it's, safe or it's not going to bother her, then yeah, I'm always down. So, uh, yeah, it's cool. Parents raising their kids watching scary stuff. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely a fun thing to bond over for sure. And it's one of those things that there's so many different like facets of it. Like you said, you can find things
Mm,
that like even if you don't like you can love horror and only love like one little part of it, or you can love all of it, but there's just so many different like things to visit, you know what I mean? Like we can go with the slasher stuff like we mentioned, like all the Ghostface and like those things, or we could go with the spooky stuff like Insidious or
mm,
The Conjuring, or you can go with just straight like crazy like visual stuff with like movies like Possessor and some of the stuff I'm sure you haven't really like
mm.
touched on yet, like Videodrome and stuff like that. But there's just so
Yeah.
many different corners of horror. You can even just go with like like fantasy horror with movies
Mhm.
like Pan's Labyrinth and stuff like that. And so no, it's super fun. But heck yeah, I appreciate you for joining us, Penelope. It was fun to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you for letting me come. Yeah, I was really excited when I heard my dad made a podcast.
I didn't
Heck yeah.
make it. To
Well,
be
it was
fair, Tim's
in.
been doing this for like 7 years, so
5
I'm
years, but
just
it's fine.
7,000 years.
Since
So,
the days of the old.
and we're only 3 years apart.
Yeah, and he's
Uh,
older than me, so that's what I'm just kidding.
yeah, this is very true.
7,003. No, I'm just kidding.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, no, I think this was a fun episode to do. Something a little different, and stoked we could have you on board.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to do it again in the future for sure. And if anybody's listening or watching wherever, just make sure you like, comment, subscribe, whatever's clever. Let us know what maybe your first horror movie was growing up, and
Mhm.
maybe some of if you have any advice that you would like to give out to people, showing horror films for the first time, what you would say. So, thank you guys for joining me. Do you want to plug the stuff your drop coming up, Steven, or is it kind of
Yeah, sure. When will this is gonna come out Friday or next Friday?
next Friday?
Next Friday. So if you're listening to this on next Friday, uh, definitely listen to it and then go buy some stuff from Toxic Coffin.
Oh yeah.
Because that's when our drop will be, which is August 29th. We're calling it the Halloween 99 collection. It's basically a series of items that kind of were catalysts to Lance and I getting into horror movies, and a few things that were very specific to like our childhood and what we remember from trick-or-treating and Halloween and whatnot. So we're, going to be actively teasing that, this week and next week. But yeah, the drop will happen August 29th at toxiccoffin.com, or you can follow us at toxic_coffin on Instagram. Uh, and Penelope, do you have anything that you need to plug? Any last shout outs while you
Um,
have your,
I don't know, not really.
I have a final question we can end on for you though. Do you have any horror movies that you are looking forward to watching for the first
Ooh.
time and or that are not out yet maybe that you want to see? Because I know like the new Conjuring is coming out. You got some other stuff coming out.
Um, there was a movie that I saw in the ad when we went to Superman, and I was like, Dad, I really want to see that, but I don't really remember what was coming out.
Hmm.
I think it was something that was coming out in October or something. I don't really remember. But um yeah, there's nothing that I can really think of right now, but
What's one horror film on your bucket list that you're like, I want to check off this year?
The Descent. I want to see if I can finish it.
Oh, okay.
Heck yeah.
We can
Yeah.
make that happen.
Hey, I'll bring
I'm
the
happy to torture
projector.
you. I mean, you. Yeah, yeah. We'll watch it outside. Well,
If we watch it outside, then no.
we'll make sure we're in like the backyard where all the dark trees are and stuff like that.
Find a
So,
cave. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Go watch in a
Honestly,
cave.
that'd be like the sickest watch party ever to go watch The Descent in a cave. That'd be
Yeah.
dope. So,
I would run out there as soon as the movie ended.
cool.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate you for joining us, Penelope. It's been a blast chatting with you, and hope y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.
same.
Yeah, thanks, man.
you.
This was fun.
Yeah.